Hello and welcome to the Westcity Church podcast. If you'd like to get to know us more, find us at westcitychurch.com.au. We really hope that you're encouraged by today's message.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chin, and I will be your speaker today. Shocking. Look, we are in the middle of this series called Road to Promise, and I'll be just picking off where Kelly left off last week. She took us through a bit of the life of Joseph. And yeah, I'll just carry on from that. We're going to look into some of the things that we perhaps could look at his life and how that might inform us. Am I coming through or am I not? Yeah, I'm coming through, right? Yeah, cool. All right. So, brief overview of Joseph. It is the longest of the narratives in Genesis, comprising of all 13 chapters. I'm not sure if you guys have actually read through it in one sitting, but it reads like a short story, like a novel, like full of ups and downs, ebbs and flows. Kelly outlined pretty much all of it last time. I also don't know if you guys noticed, but God actually seems to take a bit of a behind-the-scenes backward seat. Like he's not prominent in that sense of the prominence. Say in Abraham, where he's like, I promise you this, I promise you that, rah, rah, rah. In the Joseph narrative, he actually doesn't actually say very much. Like he's in the background, but he's not an active participant in the story itself. He allows the whole human story and the drama to develop throughout the whole narrative. So I will be picking up roughly in the middle of the narrative. Joseph has I think he's just been promoted to being the governor of Egypt. And his prediction of the famine and everything like that has, really starting to bite throughout the region in Egypt and stuff like that. Everyone's suffering. Joseph's brothers have decided to come to Egypt because that's the only place that's left that's got food. So I'm just going to read the verses when the brothers first meet. Yeah, if we can put it on the slide. Good. Genesis 42, verse 6. Since Joseph was governor of all of Egypt and in charge of selling grain to all the people, it was to him that his brothers came. When they arrived, they bowed before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph recognized his brothers instantly, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. Where are you from? He demanded. From the land of Canaan, they replied. We have come to buy food. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they didn't recognize him. I'd just like us to ponder that last verse for a bit. I mean, there is a couple ways that we can read this. On one hand, I think Kelly spoke about it last week. It could very well be that Joseph's brothers just couldn't fathom the fact that one of their tribe could possibly thrive in an ancient culture, ancient world like Egypt. On the other hand, it could just be a physical thing. I mean, you read in the chapter beforehand, when he was promoted, he was given like a ring, like linen, gold. They didn't say headpiece, but if you look in ancient Egypt, there's a lot of headpieces going on and stuff like that. So I assume that's happening too. Joseph was also speaking through an interpreter. He was speaking really harshly. So he was putting up this disguise. And if you read through Genesis, you will know that this isn't really the first time that a disguise has been used throughout to trying to achieve something good or bad. Now, I know you people in Westcity, you guys are super awesome, learned Bible people. So let's just go through a few of them. Genesis 27, Isaac is on his deathbed. He decides that it's time to bless Esau and Jacob, his boys. Jacob wants Esau's firstborn blessing. So when Esau went to goes out hunting, Jacob disguises himself as Esau, wearing his clothes, putting fur on his arms and his neck to be as hairy as Esau. But evidently he didn't do that good a job with his voice because, Isaac's like, you sound like Jacob, but you don't feel like Jacob. But anyways, in Genesis 29, it's Jacob's turn to be deceived, I suppose. When he goes to a foreign land, he falls in love with Rachel. Rachel's dad, Laban, I think that's how you pronounce it, says, you have to work for me for 7 years, then you can marry Rachel. Jacob's like, cool, I'll work the 7 years. On the wedding night itself, though, it wasn't Rachel that was in the wedding bed, but it was Rachel's sister, Leah, who was in disguise. And they had sex, and Jacob didn't know that it was Rachel, but it was Leah, and he didn't realize until the morning after, which still confounds me every time I read it, right? Because it's like how does that happen? Don't know. Anyways, Genesis 38, the story of Judah and Tamar. Now, just quickly, have you guys heard the story of Judah and Tamar? Hands up if you have. Yeah, cool, because it's like super strange if you haven't, and I encourage you to read it because it's like, if you really, the significance of the story, you have to go through a bit of a deep dive with regards to like the whole history of Israel and stuff like that. But I'd like to tell you a brief summation of it because it's super cool and super weird. So, Judah gets married to a Canaanite woman. They give birth to 3 boys. The oldest of the son marries this woman called Tamar. Oldest boy was evil, so he dies. So in the custom at that time, the second son has to marry Tamar in order for them to produce an heir. For whatever reason, the second boy doesn't want to impregnate Tamar, so he spills his semen on the ground during sexual intercourse. It is written in the text. That is probably the first case of withdrawal, right, during sex. It's like, straight up, it's just so weird. So, he dies as well. Judah decides that, hang on, both my oldest boys are dead because of you. You must have a curse. So I will promise my younger son to you, but I won't actually let you marry him. And Tamar figures this out. She disguises herself as a temple prostitute. Judah goes up to her and says, hey, let's have sex. I'll give you a goat. It's like, and Tamar's like, how am I going to know you? What's guarantee you're going to give me a goat? And Judah's like, what do you want? I want your, let me just make sure, seal, I want your cord, I want your walking stick. Deal. They had sex, he gives her the stuff, she leaves. He comes back the next day actually with a goat and say, hey, where's that temple prostitute? Town folks like, what the hell are you talking about? There's no temple prostitute here. Cool, all right, so he's like, okay, that's strange. Tamar falls pregnant. Judah was infuriated, say, hey, you have been adulterous, you have to die. Tamar's like, okay, but the father is the owner of these things. Boom. He's found out. Joseph, and Judah was like, you are more righteous than me. So, again, like, read it. It's like super cool. What I am trying to say and illustrate, though, that disguises, masks, personas is one of those things that you see quite a bit in Genesis. And I feel like part of the genius of the book of Genesis as a whole, for me anyways, is how it speaks to the human condition and the complexities of this thing we call living. How, well, in these cases anyways, that we all are flawed as human beings, and we are prone to using masks, personas, disguises to hide our flaws, be it physical flaws, character flaws, or whatnot. If you look through, and the English word personality, it derives from the word person, and the etymology of the word person is derived from the Latin word persona, which means mask. In Joseph's case, he kept up his disguise for several chapters because he really did want to find out whether his brothers have truly changed and they won't repeat the evil that they did to him all those years ago. And even though there was, I believe anyway, no malice in his actions because he repeatedly had to excuse himself to weep, the brothers, ended up being quite terrified of him because he's just so powerful and they just didn't know that what he was capable of. All that is to say as well is that when I look through my own life, I realize that there are also different personas and stuff like that I have in my everyday life. Most of you should know this, but I am a dentist. I have a professional dentist persona that I put on when I go to work. The practice I work for is in Midland. And in Midland, there are people who don't look after their teeth very well. And it's not so good. And I cannot just say the first thing that comes to my mind when I see these people. I can't just go, would it kill you to brush your teeth, man? Come on. Just like, no, we got to be professional about things. We got to say, hey, let's work through it. We have a lot of work to do, and so forth. I think, one big part of me is that I have a Dockers-supported persona. Yeah, Friday night was just abysmal, by the way. So I went to the game. It was horrific. It was cold, miserable. There's nothing good about Friday night. And when I go to Dockers games, I am actually very feral. I like to think I'm fairly mild-mannered most of the time. But when at games, either when I'm watching it at home or when I go to Optus Stadium, it can get ugly. I'm starting to bring my kids more, my older two kids to the games. And they know that when we go to Optus Stadium and watch the Dockers play, Daddy does swear sometimes, and it's okay. As long as it is not the F word, everything else is okay. It gets the better of me. But on a more serious note, I've spoken up here a few times. You guys are well aware that I almost use this stage almost like a confessional. So I have been talking about processes of self-discovery that I have been through. And one of the things that I have discovered is that I actually have lots of these masks, these personas, to hide myself from other people. And so much so that it reached the point where I don't actually know who I truly am. Like, who am I? And what exactly am I hiding from? Now, again, I've spoken in the past about my self-esteem issues and all those kind of things, and the obvious answer is that I am hiding, I created all these personas, so that people might like me more. But I think as I dived into it a bit deeper, I have come to realize that a lot of these masks as well are used for hiding me from myself. That I'm actually afraid of what I might find if I actually went digging around. That there is this deep pit, this wilderness, something inside of me that if I actually went digging around and looking into it, that it might just open up this Pandora's box of shame, guilt, hopelessness that will probably lead me to a form of despair that I might not be able to cope with. The thing that I've also come to really rely on, though, is that I had to really go back to basics. Like, every time I say it, it's so cliche, but it's also so true to me that fundamentally we are all I am children and a child of God. We are loved. We are known by God. Yeah. I just got a couple of verses that I just want to put up, if you don't mind, Asher. So in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7, it says that the Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Psalm 139, actually the entire Psalm of 139 is like beautiful, but it says that, verse 1, "Oh Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me." God looks at our heart. He knows everything about us. We have nothing to hide. He delights in us. And even though I may very well open that Pandora's box and I will find all these nasties within me, it's okay. Because God is with us, just as he was with Joseph throughout all his adversities and stuff like that. Now, moving forward, ultimately, what does this all mean, right? What does it look like for us to shed our masks and to live as children of God? I believe, anyway, one of the ways is already what we are doing here at Westcity, living authentic lives in loving community with one another, where brokenness and vulnerability are virtues that we celebrate. If you look in the life of Joseph, in chapter 45, when he finally revealed who he truly was and very tearfully did it, it was the time where reconciliation and forgiveness could take place. To illustrate this further, I'd just like to play a little soundbite of something I heard in a podcast recently. It's by an author. His name is Ross Gay, and his book is he's reading a portion of his book called The Book of Delights. And I genuinely love it when authors read their own work. So if you can go ahead and play it and follow along.
Among the most beautiful things I've ever heard anyone say came from my student Bethany, talking about her. Among the most beautiful things I've ever heard anyone say came from my student Bethany, talking about her pedagogical aspirations or ethos, how she wanted to be as a teacher, and what she wanted her classrooms to be. She said, "What if we joined our wildernesses together?" Sit with that for a minute. That the body, the life, might carry a wilderness, an unexplored territory, and that yours and mine might somewhere, somehow meet, might even join. And what if the wilderness, perhaps the densest wild in there, thickets, bogs, swamps, uncrossable ravines, and rivers, have I made the metaphor clear? Is our sorrow, or to use Smith's term, the intolerable. It astonishes me sometimes, no, often, how every person I get to know, everyone, regardless of everything, by which I mean everything, lives with some profound personal sorrow. Brother addicted, mother murdered, dad died in surgery, rejected by their family, cancer came back, evicted, fetus not okay. Everyone, regardless, always, of everything. Not to mention the existential sorrow we all might be afflicted with, which is that we and what we love will soon be annihilated, which sounds more dramatic than it might. Let me just say dead. Is this sorrow, of which our impending being no more might be the foundation, the great wilderness? Is sorrow the true wild? And if it is, and if we join them, your wild to mine, what's that? For joining, too, is a kind of annihilation. What if we joined our sorrows, I'm saying, what if that is joy?
May we be unafraid to shed our masks. and discover who we really are. Children of God, loved, known by God. And as we do that, may we be also unafraid to go exploring through what may be within us, the wildernesses, the sorrows that we may discover within us, that we all probably have within us. And perhaps look to join our wildernesses and our sorrows, because what if, just what if, that is joy.
How good was that message? Thank you so much for joining us. Each week at West City, we say a benediction together. We do this because we believe that the purpose of the church is to be a caring community for the world, and that as we go and serve others, we enter into Christ's work of welcome, restoration and healing, both for us and others. We believe that in doing so, we get to see and encounter Christ. So let's say the benediction together. We come together as the church to be reminded of the go of Christ. So we will go out and feed the hungry, go out and clothe the naked, go out and fight for justice, go out and end oppression, go out and proclaim anew the old story, go out and associate with those who don't look like us, think like us, act like us, and don't even like us. And we'll do it all in the name of the one who sent us. His name is Jesus.